Welcome to the Your Leadership Legacy podcast. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I'm so excited to bring you this next podcast dedicated to you high performers out there who want to reinvent yourself, reinvent your business, maybe your career, all of it. This podcast is all about being dedicated to transformation and being the best possible leader of yourself and others that you can be in order to create a legacy that lives on. Welcome to Your Leadership Legacy. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause. I am the founder and CEO of True You Teams. And here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Your Leadership Legacy. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and with us today, we have Diane Kephart. Hi, Diane.
Good morning. How are you, Tina?
I'm good. I'm so excited to talk to you today because you have like this wealth of information and knowledge for people, and I'm so excited for everyone to get to know you. Tell us a little bit about who you are, Diane.
All right. Well, let me start by just saying I think we go through things so that we can help people through similar situations later in life. My background is I was an Air Force veteran. I married another Air Force veteran. We met, and then we spent our first 2 years of marriage with me in Japan and him in Baltimore. So we definitely had to hone our communication skills. But fast forward, we were almost at 24 years of marriage when he passed at a young age. And I took him to the chiropractor with back pain, and 12 days later, we had a stage 4 colon cancer diagnosis. So you can imagine how that threw everything in upheaval in the family, kind of like what people are experiencing right now.
Yeah.
I titled it Living in Surreality because it's real, but it doesn't feel real. And yet you have to just press on and find your inner strength, focus on your faith, and, make it through.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm sorry to hear that. How long ago was that, Diane?
It was 8 years ago that he passed.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and just because we've talked, I know that it kind of led you down a little bit different work, right? So I want you to talk a little bit about how, when that happened in your life, how that, like, what was the thought process going on in that time for you?
Sure, absolutely. Well, as you can imagine, with a stage 4 colon cancer diagnosis, it kind of forced us into getting our estate plan done and updated. And we hadn't updated it since we left the Air Force many years before. So we went and found an attorney, paid a lot of money, and got it done. And we had to, because he only survived 13 months from diagnosis.
Wow.
And after he passed, I'm now a single mom of 3. It was my daughter's freshman year in high school, my other daughter's senior year in high school, and my son's junior year of college when he passed. And so I called the same attorney. I'm like, help. I'm a new single mom. I've got questions. I need documents reviewed. People are telling me I need letters to get him taken off of accounts. And the attorney said, we'll start around $2,500 and see what we can get done. And at that point, with 2 kids in college, daughter in high school, you can imagine that this single mom did not have an extra $2,500 sitting around, right? Which probably fits a lot of people right now. They don't have a whole lot of extra money because of the current situation.
Right.
So I just put the file away. I'm like, I'm below the tax threshold. I will get to it sometime. And then a friend shared Legal Shield with me 2 weeks later. And for $24.95 a month, because of crowdfunding, we all pay the law firms, but each person pays a little bit. They did that $2,500 worth of work for me for my $24.95 a month. And I thought, wow, how many people could this help? How many other single moms or people that don't want to pay an hourly rate could we help? Mm-hmm. And so I was working at the time for a nonprofit serving veterans. You're going to hear throughout my story, military families are definitely my heart because I've lived it, been there. I say I've been uniquely qualified to help female veterans, military, married to military, deployed spouses, young widows, single moms, remarried, and entrepreneurs. And that's what you're going to hear in my story. Yeah. But I was working at that nonprofit and I loved what I was doing. And we were doing great work stopping homelessness among the veteran community. But I had to miss my son's final college baseball game. I couldn't get the time off work to fly up to Oregon. And he had no family in the stands for senior day. And that was tearing me up, as you can imagine. But when he sent me a picture of a yellow rose on his baseball bag that another mom had accepted in my place, it was what I needed, the kick in the pants to say, I need to start my own business. I need to help a lot of people who are in my situation so that other moms are not having to miss key things with their kids. And so I started very part-time while I was working full-time.
Yeah.
And, I was fair to my employer. When I was on the clock, I was on the clock for them. But I would meet people before work, at lunch, and after work. And the blessing is within 7 months, I was able to become a volunteer at the nonprofit, control my calendar. And for 6.5 years, if my kids need me, I've been able to be there. And I'll give you 2 quick examples. But my youngest daughter, their choir was going to Ireland, Wales, and London. And she's like, Mom, do you think you could chaperone the choir trip for me? I said, Self, can you take 10 days off? Self said, have a good time.
Yeah.
And then, exactly. And then my middle daughter, when she decided it was the weekend, she was going to pick out her wedding dress because her maid of honor was going to be in town. She's like, Mom, can you fly up to Oregon? And it's like, Self, you're getting on that plane. So it's a freedom, but I love giving other people hope, especially in today's environment, to be able to work from home, control your calendar, but help people daily with what you're doing.
So powerful. It's so powerful right now, right? Because everybody's sitting at home and they're on these Zoom calls all day long. And I think everybody's really trying to figure out how to work differently and how to think differently kind of in this new paradigm that we're in. So I love your story. So I love where you're at right now. So you started a business and it was to help people through the same situation that you had been in. So dive into how you do that with your clients and what the biggest need is that you're seeing right now.
Absolutely. And one of the divisions of our company is Ladies of Justice. It's only about a year to a year and a half old. But we realized that there were professional women, there were moms out there that we were not serving in the way they needed to be served. And the Ladies of Justice mission is to help improve lives with our services and provide women the opportunity and environment to build their belief and confidence, step into their greatness and power, control their lives, create choices, and live a purposeful life. And the way that
Wait, read it again. That was so powerful.
I know, I love it myself. Okay, it's to help improve lives with our services, provide women the opportunity environment to build their belief and confidence, step into their greatness and power, control their lives, create choices, and live a purposeful life.
Beautiful.
And I love to see women who may be working 2 to 3 jobs trying to take care of their kids or the family. And now, they may be unemployed and there's so much stress out there right now.
Yeah.
But people need what we have, and to be able to work from home and help people, to get their estate in order, to get the questions answered. They just had to cancel a trip and they're having a hard time getting the refund, or whatever life situation there is, where if it didn't cost $300 an hour, we would pick up the phone and talk to an attorney. Yeah. That's what we're able to do. And so, we have that. We have the opportunity for people wanting to start a home-based business, as I did, 7 years ago, coming up on my 7th anniversary. Mm-hmm. But the main thing, I love that the member gets a better benefit from our service than I get in protecting them with it. And I don't have a garage full of attorneys or anything, It's basically just being the conduit between a great law firm and a member who could use the service. And then we also have identity theft help. Oh my goodness, I don't know if you see what's going on right now, but I'll give you one example. People are getting text messages saying to receive your stimulus money, reply back with your banking information so we can direct deposit. That is a phishing scam. A bank will never do that. The IRS will never do that. They're getting phone calls. This is a CDC. You've been with someone who tested positive and we need to send a test to you, but we're going to need your credit card to pay for the shipping. That is a scam.
Yeah.
People, I mean, if it comes in an email, a text, a phone call, and you did not initiate it, please do not give any personal information. But the great news is every member of ours has direct access to licensed private investigators who will restore the identity, do whatever it takes as long as it takes to restore it. And so I always say if it doesn't take a limited power of attorney for your investigator to fix your identity, it means you're doing it yourself with coaching, and no one has time for that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's such an important service that you're offering. So as you're talking to your clients, and maybe this question maybe goes beyond your clients, but you mentioned it, we're in a difficult time right now, right? Everybody's trying to figure it out, not only trying to figure it out for the current situation of how do I now work completely from home when maybe there's kids and distraction and all that kind of stuff. I'm dealing with my partner here now, like, so what is your message to people in these times? Because I think that people are really trying to figure out not only what today looks like, but what does tomorrow look like as well?
I think the message is, what one thing can you do today that is going to move you forward to your goals? There's a great book called The One Thing by Keller. And the whole philosophy about it is, what one thing can I do that's going to make everything else easier or unnecessary? And I think sometimes we get buried under to-do lists. We're busy moms and business owners and wives and community leaders. And a friend of mine, she talks about rename your to-do list your get to-do list.
Yes.
So you start with gratitude. I'm grateful that I have a washer and dryer because I have to do laundry, right? I'm grateful that I have these kids to pick up after, to cook for, to homeschool. I'm grateful, that I need to make these phone calls because it changes your mindset. Absolutely. But the other thing is, she's like, don't just put things on there so you can check it off, because that's how we should all over each other and ourselves. Yeah, should, SHOULT. But I love the way she says that. We should all over ourselves and beat ourselves up for not getting enough done. Or if we just say, what is the one thing I can do today? And another philosophy is be 1% better every day.
Yeah.
1% better every day compounds to where, we might have time right now to read some professional development books we didn't have time before, or listen to a podcast such as yours.
Yeah. Yes. Do that.
Highly recommended.
Yeah. Right. I love where you're going with the gratitude and the get to versus have to. That's been a huge mindset shift for me as I've changed my language, right? Because it's about languaging. It's the power of words. And when I show up to a situation in the mindset of I get to do this, it's a completely different feel than if I show up in that situation of, I have to do this. So yeah, I love the get to versus have to. That's amazing. So what opportunities, Diane, do you see right now for people living with COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to go in different areas of life, but for families, I see opportunities for families to reconnect. Families that were not having time to eat dinner together or eating dinner together. Families that didn't see the kids because they had school, and then they had volleyball, and then they had drama. And, all of that extraneous stuff has been cut away, and it brings us back to our core values and what really matters. One thing after Brian passed, I kind of developed a philosophy. I call it the 5-year rule. And if it's not going to matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter. And as we're all in confined spaces, I work upstairs, my husband works downstairs right now, because that way we're not talking over each other when we're on the phone or Zooms.
Yeah.
But, there's little irritations, little things that happen with kids and teenagers that, yes, we could have a blow up in the house. But especially after my husband passed, I really gave some extra grace to my kids because I knew they were hurting. They had just lost their dad. Yeah. So if there was something that came up, and yeah, it might matter in 5 minutes or 5 days or 5 months, but it wasn't a 5-year issue. It wasn't an issue. It wasn't worth confronting, getting upset about. And I think in today's situation where we're all in close quarters, that can really help people, because if it's going to hurt them, hurt someone else, and it will matter in 5 years, of course I'm going to address it.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I think we could be like constantly nitpicking each other. My now husband, as I call him, because I did remarry, he says fish and family smell after 3 days. And that's kind of his rule when we go visit in-laws and stuff like that. But, we've all been forced into an environment to learn to live with each other, to work with each other. Parents that didn't expect to teach their kids are homeschooling or at least facilitating the learning.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those situations. But everything we go in life prepares us for something later.
Yeah.
And had I not been through the situation where we needed the legal assistance, I would not have found our company and be able to help thousands of people to have that peace of mind, right? But I also would not have met my now husband because we met through the business. We were accountability partners, completely platonic. And after I hit some major goals and was very grateful, he sent me a text and said, I'd like to take this to a personal level. Will you allow me to court you?
Aww.
Now, how do you respond to a text like that, right?
Yes, is how you respond to that.
So fast forward, about a year, and we are both mic'd up training in front of people, 400 people in Phoenix, and his business coach yells out, Jeff, your shoe's untied. He bends down on one knee, pops open a little white box. And if you've never heard 400 people gasp at once, it's quite a sound. So we're blessed to be able to work together, but also separately on some things. As I focus on Ladies of Justice, he focuses more on the employee benefits side of the house. And once again, had I not been through everything, I would not have been prepared for that. But we just have to have faith and belief that we're going to get through this. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only choice, right? Like it's the only choice. What has been your biggest leadership lesson, Diane, thus far, going through everything?
Well, and I wanted to share one thing that I wrote a couple of years after Brian passed, and then we can talk about it.
Okay.
But I actually surprised myself by my words when I was reading this the other day, because I'm like, wow, that's really good. But I said, we all experience doubt, fear, and crisis at some point in our lives. And no matter what you're facing today or have dealt with in the past, there is hope. Rather than focusing inwardly on your own pain, reach out to help others. Let your experience refine you, not define you. Allow life's storms and challenges to shape you, not shake you. As my late husband said, each of us has a purpose. However difficult, let your doubt, fear, or crisis help you to find yours. It is not sailing on calm seas, doing what is easy and comfortable that inspires others. It is braving the waves and the winds of the storms of life and staying afloat, unwavering in your faith and conviction. Your example allows others who have capsized and are in danger of drowning in their own storms to make it safely to shore. When you survive challenges, when you finish strong, you inspire others to do the same. Today, as I watch the sunset, which you'll notice I love to paint sunsets, I refuse to live in the sadness of loss. I choose to live in the joy of each new day, focused on happy memories and planning new adventures, ever grateful for faith, family, and friends.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I'm going to tell you right now, it's the first time on one of these podcasts that I almost got choked up. That's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful words.
Thank you. But it just shows how, it's amazing. I had never met young widows in my life. But in the first 15 to 18 months after I became one, and I hated that word because I pictured a 95-year-old lady, but God put people in my path who were behind me in my journey. And I was able to encourage others that were either losing a spouse to cancer. I had a friend whose husband was tragically killed in an instant in a car wreck, where instead of coming from a theoretical, I know how you feel, it's a deep, I know how you feel. Just as I work with military spouses who have a deployed husband or they're not able to be together, I know how they feel because I've lived it. And that allows us to have a much deeper empathy, understanding of how we can help.
Yeah, absolutely. So beautiful. It's so incredibly beautiful. I love all of it. So one of the things that I like to do is ask people about their leadership legacy. But before we go to that, one of the things that, like, as you were talking, kept coming up, that's been a huge leadership lesson for me is the whole when in doubt, focus out. So I know that when you were talking, like for me, when I'm feeling that ick, when I'm feeling like, I don't wanna, we all know what that feels like. You just, you're not living in joy. You're living in your excuses. You're living in this place of lack. Right. And whenever I'm in that, the best tool, the best way that I ever find other than gratitude to come out of that is to help somebody else. So who can I pick up the phone right now and call that needs support? So before we go on to the leadership legacy question, I want to make sure that people that are listening to this really understand that if you're feeling in a funk, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like, I don't know what my next move is, I don't know what that looks like, it's not about you, right? Pick up the phone and try and look for somebody else to support. And I guarantee you, when you support someone else, you're going to find your own answers internally within that process.
I agree. And seeing how people handle loss in the 8 years since I lived it, I've seen a huge difference from those who focus inward and spiral downward.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. You reminded me of something. Brian passed on a Monday, and the girls, as I told you, were still in high school. And so we got together and I said, it's up to you whether you want to go to school tomorrow or the next day or what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I said, we can hide under the covers and never come out again, or we can continue to go out and make a difference, which is what we're known for. And our family motto had become finish strong, because anytime someone asked Brian, how can we pray for you? He's like, that I finish strong. Okay. And so I encouraged the kids. I said, he would want you to finish strong. It's your freshman year of high school. It's your senior year of high school. It's your junior year of college. And I was so proud of the girls because their circle of friends was really the advanced choirs. And they had a concert coming up on Wednesday. So they had a mandatory rehearsal Tuesday night. So they talked about it. They decided we're going to skip the morning, but we're going to go in the afternoon so we can be with our choir friends, be there for the rehearsal. And then they just kept going. They got back into the routine of school, finished strong. My senior graduated with honors her senior year, going through that, which is mind-blowing. Yeah. The freshman was #1 in her freshman class. I mean, that's a lot about them, but that finish strong motto. And then, my son graduated college the following year. So I'm grateful that we were able to encourage them to finish strong, to push through. And as I said, a whole other level of grace, because there are going to be some outbursts, but just knowing that they're productive, contributing college graduates, all 3 of them now. Hallelujah. Right?
Yeah, I hear you. Our last one just graduated as well. I want to acknowledge you, Diane, because that doesn't just happen by chance. That happened because you were the role model and the mother that you needed to be in the moment in order to get those kids through it as well. So I want to acknowledge you for that. I think that's very, very special. Oh, your video went off.
I know. I just had something pop up. I'm so sorry. I just sent it away.
Okay. Yeah, so I want to acknowledge you for that, because that's, again, that, a tragic thing that happened, and you put on your leadership boots and you got yourself and your kids through it. And I think that is amazing. And it's exactly why I wanted to have you on this podcast. So tell us, the name of the podcast is Your Leadership Legacy. And so the one question that I ask every single person for sure is, what leadership legacy do you aspire to leave?
Well, thank you. And I appreciate your kind words. I acknowledge the kids for a lot, but I do know that we all get together through it. I would say first, the legacy is through the kids, right? As a mom, we all want our kids to survive and thrive. And I truly believe my kids have done that. The other is through the lives that I'm able to touch. I still work a lot with military families and veterans. They have my heart. I've been there. I think that a lot of people do not realize the daily sacrifice that they make. And if you want to turn me into what a friend of mine calls a soup sandwich in a minute, let me see a military family reunion at the airport, right? And I'm gone, but it's because it's such joy to see them reunited, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is the legacy for those that we can mentor and encourage who are behind us in our journey. Whether it be in business, working with young entrepreneurs, whether it be, like I said, young widows or people that need that extra understanding and support. Because one thing that happens when you have a major loss is people are all around you and they're at the beginning, but they're saying, let me know what I can do. How can I help? And if I can just give you one word of encouragement, the person in that situation may not know what to ask for.
Right.
And a huge blessing when we were going through the chemo and losing Brian, we still had kids' activities going on. So you can imagine it was picking up from here, going to a volleyball game, drama. And I had some dear friends and church members that provided us with gift cards to local restaurants. I could call ahead, order the meal, have it ready to pick up on the way home. I had friends that would sit with him while I was having to do things with the kids. And that was the kind of support I needed in the moment. But after he passed, you'll notice that people, they get uncomfortable because they don't want to bring it up, but then they want you to know they're there. And I just say, reach out. If it's not a good time, they're going to tell you. But I think the legacy there is to help people know how they can help someone in that kind of a situation. And then as far as my business, my legacy is the thousands of lives right now that they have their estate plan in order. They're not stressed. You know, if they have an identity theft issue, they know they've got the resources there. Yeah. And just being able to help people daily to better their lives.
So beautiful. So beautiful. So where can people find you, Diane?
Okay, great. Well, my website is DIHelpspeople.com. So DIHelpspeople.com.
Awesome.
And that is my website. Otherwise, they can email me at growandprotectbiz, B-I-Z. So growandprotectbiz
Great.
And that one I answer all day long. But if anyone has questions about Ladies of Justice, one thing I did want to mention, you know, regulatory, I can't give away a free membership. But for that $24.95 a month, I always say, friends, don't let friends pay $1,000 to $1,500 to get their estate in order. Because the will, living will, medical power of attorney, and financial power of attorney are free with membership, just as a thank you gift. So if you know anyone who is stressed and thinking, you know, I really should get that will in place, or I'm concerned about it, less than $25 and I can help you get it done and have that peace of mind.
That's amazing. Amazing. So I want to thank you, Diane, for being on. I think you are an amazing bright light in this world, and I'm so blessed that we got to meet and have this conversation. So thank you. Thank you very much for being on.
Well, thank you for having me. I know that if we could and we were in the same town, we would meet for coffee and become fast friends. But thank you for allowing me to share my story, because just to finish, one thing we decided when he was diagnosed, I did not mention, we have a Caring Bridge site. If I can just mention that.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Please do.
We've had more than 30,000 visits to it because he wanted to help as many people through our story. If you know someone that just got a cancer diagnosis, or if they're walking through a similar journey, it's caringbridge.org/visit/Brian Kephart. And that's BRYAN KEPHART. But there might be something in our journey, in our journal, in our guest book that would just uplift and encourage.
So special. That right there is worth it all. So thank you for sharing that.
Tina.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing your story. It's been very, very special. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys, that ends this episode of Your Leadership Legacy. We will see you next time. Thank you. Bye. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Check out our programs and events at trueyouteams.com. And until next time, make it an amazing day.